everybody, and welcome to Football Philosophy and this evening's show, which is called Player in Focus. Last night I did my player ratings show from the United and Arsenal game, and in the after the player ratings show, we did a poll on Twitter for people to vote on which player I wanted to put in the Player in Focus show, and actually explain why I gave whatever mark I gave, whether it be too high or too low, whatever people thought. And the person who came out on top in the poll was Scott McTominay, with over 2,000 people voted, and 52% of the votes went to Scott McTominay. I gave Scott McTominay a 6 out of 10. I think most of the people who voted probably thought that he should have had a lower mark than that. And quite a lot of people on Twitter were asking, why did McTominay get a higher mark than Fred? So in order to explain that today, I've been through the game. I've made quite a lot of clips that I will be uploading onto Twitter as soon as I've just finished making this short explanation of it all. But they will all be on Twitter to see, with a little bit of an explanation of who did well, who did things right and did things wrong. I've obviously not put a clip of every single involvement, because there's too many simple passes. Obviously all midfield players get involved in receiving the ball from defenders, giving it back to defenders, playing it out to the full-back, making yourself available again. That sort of stuff, to be fair, was easier for Fred to do because Fred was playing at the base of the diamond, or supposedly he was playing at the base of the diamond. So it's the sort of job that you often see Matic doing, playing as a defensive midfield player or at the base of a diamond, and you do get involved with the little short passes between all the defenders, going back and forth between them all. So there's no point putting all those sort of things on, and they both did plenty of that sort of thing. They both did plenty of blocking, getting little block tackles in, going out for throw-ins perhaps to the Arsenal team, or I remember McTominay blocking Saka on the dead ball line and Arsenal got a corner out of it. As far as that sort of thing went on, they were both pretty even. But as I say, I'm going to put quite a few clips up. But what I did look at, one of the most important, but possibly the most important thing, is how much care you take on the ball. We do need our players to take care of the ball better. We've got certain players who don't take care of it well enough, and quite a lot of people on Twitter, I noticed one comment that a lot of people liked, this comment that said, how can McTominay get a 6? He only deserves a 2 because his passing was so bad. I've watched the first hour of the game, and I've only done this, by the way, on the first hour. The reason that I've done it on the first hour is that Fred, after 61 minutes, Fred was replaced. So I think when comparing the two players' performances, it's only really fair to compare that actual 61 minutes. I think McTominay did have a couple of passes intercepted after that point, and people might say, well, you're not showing that because he got passes intercepted. But what happened after 61 minutes, and probably really more so after 70 minutes, is United were chasing the game and taking a lot more risks. And obviously at that stage, Fred's not on the pitch, and it's a bit unfair comparing two players' games. I know it's about McTominay's rating of a 6, but I think just over an hour of the game, 61 minutes, is a fair chunk of the game. And really speaking as well, people might have thought, well, why did Fred go off? If you're going to argue to me that you thought Fred played better than McTominay, then why did he get subbed? So I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, let's compare the first 61 minutes when they were both on the field. I mean, after all, if we're going to start looking at one or two passes that were misplaced by McTominay after 61 minutes, Fred's not on the pitch at that stage, so he's got an unfair advantage by not being on the pitch and being unable to knock any poor passes himself. So while they were on the pitch, and these things will be on Twitter later, these little clips, and they'll be explained. I've just counted how many times they lost the ball. Passing wise, McTominay on one occasion, he won the ball back in the top third of the field. He won the ball back twice in the top third of the field, by the way. He's the only player that did, from what I can see in that first hour. He won the ball back twice in the top third. Once when the ball went to Bruno and Bruno had a shot and deflected for a corner. He should really have passed it to Greenwood. And at the other occasion that McTominay won the ball back in the top third, he raced through towards the corner of the box and tried to put a cross into the box. The cross was too low. It wasn't a good cross. There's no excuse for it. But that's not a pass. I'm not talking about when you're just trying to put a ball into the box. I mean, if you think about perhaps the way Bruno plays and the way Pogba plays, they try and play long balls. They try and break through balls. If they're wide, they obviously put crosses into the box when maybe they should pass it. So I don't think we should necessarily jump on McTominay for putting a poor cross into the box. And it certainly, I don't think it should go, when you're just crossing the ball into an area, I don't think you should put that down as losing possession. So I don't think, although it's not a good cross, it wasn't good at all, I don't think it should go against his stats as i.e. Losing possession or giving a slack pass. It's not a specific pass that's aimed at a player. So on specific passes that were aimed at players in the first 61 minutes, and bear in mind, lots of people said McTominay's passing was terrible. And McTominay he didn't, when I say give the ball away, his passes were incomplete. As opposed to actually giving the ball away, he had 2 incomplete passes in the first 61 minutes. Now that might surprise you, but listen to this. In the first half, he got the ball in his right, it's sort of the old-fashioned right half position that he was playing. He played the ball forward to Mason Greenwood's feet, and it was a perfectly adequate ball. It was like a 25-yard, maybe 30-yard pass along the ground, and Greenwood was coming towards the ball and it was directly at Greenwood, but the Arsenal defender managed to get a foot in. Greenwood's touch wasn't great. It's not quite strong enough. I got a feeling if Anthony Martial was playing, for example, he's a bit strong, well, a lot stronger really, holding the ball up. He might have got the ball. It'll probably go down as a completed pass, and maybe the defender, if this happens a lot to Martial, he goes into the back and Martial gets a free kick. So this will have gone down as an incompleted pass by McTominay, whereas really Mason Greenwood probably had as much to do with it as McTominay did. It wasn't a loose pass. It wasn't missing McTominay. It was simply that the defender managed to come through the back of McTominay of Greenwood without fouling him and therefore win the ball. That was one pass that went down as an incompleted pass, and the only other that was the only one in the first half, by the way. So McTominay did not play in the first 45 minutes a single loose pass, not one. Even that pass wasn't really a loose pass. It was, as I say, it was as much down to Greenwood's body strength really as anything else. It wasn't a bad pass. In the second half, there was a bouncing ball inside the United half, and McTominay tried a longer ball over the top for Marcus Rashford to chase. In that particular instant, that definitely goes down as an incompleted pass without a doubt. But sometimes when you try a long ball is something that's worth trying, and you're not actually endangering your team in any way if you give it away. If it doesn't reach its target, or if your target can't catch up with that ball. And Rashford had to chase it down. The defender beat him to it and rolled it back to his goalkeeper. So even that, as an incompleted pass, it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't horrendous. It was something that was worth a try that didn't quite come off. People might be thinking, oh, you're defending McTominay because you're giving McTominay a bigger mark. That's not the point. I'm going to come to Fred's passes in a minute, and he had a couple of unlucky passes as well. So I have looked at both players fairly. So in the first 61 minutes of the game, this is during the period that Fred was on the field, McTominay only played 2 incomplete passes. And I don't think that's very many at all. And on both occasions, one, he was a little bit unlucky and Greenwood could have done a bit better. And on the other one, it was worth a try and just didn't quite come off. Now then, if you look at Fred's passing, he played 6 passes in the same period that McTominay played 2 passes that didn't quite come off or didn't make the target. And I've actually I've got them written down here. I had a list of poor and I had a list of unlucky. I've put both of McTominay's incomplete passes down as unlucky. For Fred, I've got 2 poor passes and 4 unlucky passes. For the poor passes, in the very first minute, there was a ball that bounced just in front of him, and Bruno. It was a bouncing ball, but Bruno was only 10 yards in front of him, and he tried the pass to Bruno, and he missed Bruno by a yard or so. And I think I noticed Roy Keane on the game itself was saying that there was a lack of quality, and I'm pretty sure if Roy Keane looked at that, he would think it was a lack of quality. The pass, it's a bouncing ball, but it's a fairly simple pass. It's not even a 10-yard pass, and he misses Bruno. Bruno's got no chance of getting his foot to it, and he should have done better, and we lost the ball. So that went down as a poor pass for me. And then also later on in the half, and this clip will be on Twitter later. You'll see a ball come out to Fred, probably 10 yards outside the penalty area, and he tries a ball. I can't remember who to now, but it's a 10-yard ball to his left. There's not enough weight on the pass. Thomas Partey intercepts it really easily, and Arsenal break up the field. I think it might have been the same incident where Fred actually chased him. I think he might have got nutmegged actually, Fred, as Partey broke away, and he shrugged him off far too easily. There's going to be a few clips on there about not just passing, but other good things and other poor things about the 2 players. And I think if you look at those clips, or even if you look at those clips, or just have a look at them again on the game if you've got the game recording, and I think you might well see that. That I've not been unfair to any of the 2 players, or over fair, if you like, to McTominay, as you might think. So Fred gives a poor pass there that's intercepted by Matt. So that's 2 poor passes, and I've got him down for 4 unlucky passes. Again, you can see these clips on Twitter. So on one occasion, there's a bounce in the first half. There's a loose ball in our own penalty area. It's the situation where Aubameyang, the ball goes over Wan-Bissaka's head. Aubameyang traps the ball inside the box, tries to pull it back. Lindelof gets a toe to it. It bounces to Fred on the edge of the box. On the edge of the box, Fred turns and tries to play a ball out to Bruno, but he's not got enough weight on it, and the ball gets intercepted. Now, this is a really dangerous situation. A pass from Fred, literally 30 yards from our own goal, it gets intercepted, and Arsenal, we get away with it, but Arsenal keep the pressure on. That was one that I put down as an unlucky pass by Fred. Another thing that he did was he tried a long ball into the penalty area. Again, it goes just as McTominay's. I'm being really fair with both players. McTominay had 2 fairly unlucky ones, so I'm not criticising Fred for this. He tried a long ball that went into the penalty area. The defender won the header, didn't make a good clearance of the header, and Rashford tried to control it on his thigh, but it brushed his arm, and Arsenal got a free kick in the box. It was a decent effort at a long ball by Fred, but that goes down as an unlucky one, just as McTominay had 2 unlucky ones. So sometimes your incomplete passes can be a little bit unlucky. So I've put 2 of those down as unlucky there for Fred as well. But one of which, though, maybe he shouldn't have even took that chance right on the edge of his own penalty area. And then also in the second half, Fred gets the ball, and he's in the sort of right half position, 30 yards from his own goal. He tries to roll a ball forward into Pogba's path. Pogba's about 10 yards away. You can see the clip on Twitter. You might think that Pogba should do better. It could possibly be that Fred's overhit it and Pogba hasn't got a chance. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to tell, and it's a fine dividing line between, is it a poor pass or is it a decent pass that maybe the recipient should have done better? Maybe Pogba should have done a little bit better on this occasion. So again, that's why I put it down as unlucky. It might have been a poor pass, but I've put it down as unlucky. But what actually happens is Arsenal win the ball, but immediately we win the ball back. Fred's involved in winning the ball back. But no sooner does Fred get the ball, he tries a pass out to Rashford, who's in like a inside left stroke left wing position, and it gets intercepted. The defender just steps in front of Rashford. So again, I've put that down as unlucky. But Fred had two sort of unlucky passes, if you like, within the space of 15 seconds there. So just on the passing side of it, there's two poor passes by Fred, definitely, and there's four unlucky passes by Fred while he's on the field. Don't forget, lots of people are telling me McTominay shouldn't have got a 6. He should have got a lower mark than Fred. Most of those people, or lots of those people at least, are saying his passing was too poor, and McTominay only had 2 incomplete passes in the 61 minutes while Fred was on the field, and both of those passes were a little bit unlucky as opposed to actually being poor passes. If you look on Twitter, you'll see those clips. I'll be putting other clips on there, and what I did was I actually broke it up as I did it into sections of the half. I broke it up into 4 quarters and marked the 4 quarters, and then Fred got, what did he get? He got 16 minutes of the second half. Marked it a little bit like a boxing match, if you like. In the first quarter of the half, I gave it to McTominay comfortably. The second quarter was really tight, and I just about gave it McTominay, just shaded it. The third quarter, I marked it as even, and then the fourth quarter, McTominay took it again. But then the start of the second, if you watch the clips at the start of the second half, or if you watch the first 15 minutes to 16 minutes of the second half, McTominay starts like a house on fire. He wins the ball in the first 20 seconds that leads to a shot from Bruno, and we get a corner from it. Bruno should probably have passed it to Greenwood. He's involved in a couple of good passing moves. There's one situation, again, the clip will be on Twitter, where he wins the ball back deep in his own half, where he sort of knocks Lacazette over, and he turns to run forward, and Bellerin straight on him, and he nutmegs Bellerin. When he nutmegs Bellerin, he then immediately passes a simple ball to Pogba. Pogba turns, you'll see it on Twitter, he tries a long ball. I really can't see who he's aiming at. There's nobody anywhere near where Pogba knocks the ball to him. Pogba's got time and space. McTominay's done a load of work, gives the ball to Pogba, and Pogba just thrashes it up the field. It goes straight through to the keeper. McTominay probably felt like strangling him. There's a few situations like that on there that you will see where McTominay gives decent ball to people, and whoever he gives the ball to sometimes gives it away. It's really frustrating. I sometimes wonder if people who have thought that he's played badly or thought that his passing was poor sometimes don't even realise that he actually played a decent pass, and it was the next person that did it, that gives the ball away. So overall, on the marks that I gave, I think Fred 4 might have been. As I say, I've studied it again now. I'm going to put a lot of clips on Twitter shortly. Have a look at it, see what you think. I might have just downgraded Fred a little bit, but whether he's worth a 5, I'm not sure. I gave him a 4. Perhaps he's worth 4.5. But here's the big thing, and I'll leave you with this. This is the really big thing. People are complaining that I gave McTominay a 6, and I shouldn't have given him a figure as high as 6. Having rewatched it twice more, taken loads of clips, and really studied both players, I've got to be honest, I think McTominay's worth a little bit more as well. Possibly, certainly a 6.5, maybe even a 7. If you look at the clips that I've put on Twitter, see if you agree with me, make some remarks. I'll answer as many as I can. But that's the end of the first show of Player in Focus. I'll do another one. I won't do it every game. Obviously United have got a big game. Well, I say the big game. We've got the Champions League game, so it is a big game. You know, if we can win tomorrow, we virtually home and dry. Just another point here or there would do the trick. I think if we get 9 points. So even though it's the supposed whipping boys in the group, I've watched them against PSG. They're not a bad side. So you know, PSG have beaten them 2-0. Leipzig have beaten them 2-0. I'd be happy with any victory tomorrow night. But obviously they've got the game tomorrow. I won't be doing I'll do a player ratings again, but I'm not sure I'll do a player in focus after every game. So I'll probably do my next player in focus. We'll have the voting on it again to see which player you want me to look at. I'll probably do that next after the Everton game. I hope you've got something out of this. If you look at the things on Twitter, I've not missed anything out. Where if I think one of them's done quite well, I've put it on there. If I think one of them's done badly, I've put it on there. I just haven't put on there all the stuff that's mundane, where you know you get the ball off one player, give it to another player, where you've got plenty of space. So there's no point putting all that on there. So that's that. That's the end of Player in Focus on the Football Philosophy channel. If you enjoyed it, tell all your friends. If you didn't think much of it, keep stum.